Hey guys, I'm Alfred Poshpot and welcome to week 30 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you are new to the series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th of March 2019. Also next to the games are their times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you will skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We'll start with Liverpool versus Burnley. Burnley took the lead 5 minutes into the match as Ashley Westwood scored directly from a corner. I don't actually see how this has been given though. Westwood swung a corner in, plenty of whip on that ball, and Alisson is being held down by two Burnley players. Basically, James Tarkowski is using Alisson as a trampoline. He's holding Alisson down, Alisson can't get up, and the ball just flies and nestles in the bottom corner. It was a lovely finish, to be fair. But Liverpool would level up 10 minutes later as Roberto Firmino got the equaliser. It was a great football as well as Mo Salah played it infield to Gini Wijnaldum and the Dutch midfielder gave it straight back to Salah. He then took a touch and put it across goal and it looked like Tom Heaton was going to gather, but there's a bit of miscommunication between the keeper and his defender and they both miss it and it came all the way to Bobby, who was left with a tap in from a yard out, but he didn't no-look it, so what's the point? And Liverpool took the lead just before the half-hour mark as Sadio Mane put the horse in front for the first time in the match. It all started as Burnley looked to clear their lines, but Adam Lallana comes in with a lovely last-ditch tackle right on the edge of the area, and the ball fell to Salah in the middle. Salah can't quite get there, but the ball rolled free to Sadio Mane, and the winger hit it first time straight into the top right corner. And Liverpool got their third in the 67th as Bobby Firmino got his second of the game. Poor clearance from Tom Heaton as it went straight to Mo Salah. He put his head down and ran towards goal. Just like last week against Everton, Salah took one too many touches and was tackled from behind. It was a brilliant last-ditch tackle as well. The ball rolled free to Bobby in the box and he put it home to make it a bit more comfortable for the home side. But Burnley would make stoppage time very interesting as they got to go back to make it 3-2 thanks to Johan Gudmundsson. Burnley were pushing men forward but seemed like the chance was dead, but out of nowhere the ball dropped free and was played through to Gudmundsson in the area in a ton of space, and despite Andy Robertson lunging in last minute, he can't stop the Icelandic international as he slammed it home. But Liverpool wrapped the game up a minute later as they got their 2-goal lead back as Sadio Mane got his second of the game. As you'd expect, it's balls to the walls attacking for Burnley. A ball was played up to Danny Sturridge, he then turned and played a beautiful ball up to Sadio Mane. Him and Mo Salah were running through on goal and both of them needed one more to get their 50th for the club, and Mane could have handed Salah his on a plate, but instead chose to be selfish as he rounded the keeper and slotted into the empty net. And that's how the game ended as Liverpool came from behind to earn the 3 points and go back to 1 point behind Man City. For a normally solid Burnley back line, they look shaky as 2 of Liverpool's goals came from a mistake from the usually reliable and usually their best player, Tom Heaton. Liverpool have faced questions after a lot of draws recently, but this performance will hopefully quiet them for a bit. It was a great comeback by Liverpool, who really kicked it up again after falling behind as doubles from Mane and Firmino kept Liverpool in it and extended Burnley's wait for a win at Anfield going, a streak that stretches back to over 40 years. And we move on to Manchester City versus Watford. Man City were all over Watford in the first half but couldn't find a way through a tight Watford back line, but they could find a way through 1 minute into the second half as Raheem Sterling got the goal. A ball was pinged over the top to Aguero, he chests it down for Sterling, who was a mile offside. He's interfering with play as a defender lunges in and tries to clear, but the ball bounces off of Sterling and into the net. Initially the linesman made the right call as Sterling was offside and was interfering with play. If Sterling wasn't there, the defender doesn't lunge in like that, he's interfering. But for some reason the ref goes over and he overrules it somehow. I mean, I don't know how. And Man City doubled their lead a few minutes later as Raheem Sterling got his and City's second of the night. Nothing wrong with this one though. Classic City, lovely passing around Watford that ended with Riyad Mahrez on the byline. He laid it right across the face of goal to Sterling and he tapped home from a yard out. And Man City got their third in the 60th minute as Raheem Sterling completed his hat-trick in just 15 minutes. David Silva with the assist as he made his way forward and slid the ball through the defence to Sterling. He shrugged off his man, cut inside another one before dinking it over the keeper and into the back of the net. But Watford would get a goal back in the 65th minute as Gerard Deulofeu got a goal with his first touch of the ball. He was on the pitch for about maybe 10-15 seconds, and a free kick was punted long by the keeper Ben Foster right up to another substitute, Troy Deeney. Deeney was on the pitch for about 10 seconds as well. Deeney won the header and headed it across to Deulofeu, and the Spaniards slotted it underneath Ederson to maybe mount a comeback. Ha! Prank? No they didn't, and that is how the game ended, with Man City eventually breaking down Watford to win rather comfortably in the end. For the third game in a row, Man City came up against opponents that just weren't interested in attacking and sat back for the entire first half, leading to some frustrations around the Etihad, and they were actually booed off of the pitch at half time, which was a bit shocking. But the atmosphere was lifted in Manchester as the match went from a tough task to a stroll in the park as City picked up a win in their final Premier League match until the end of the month. And we move on to Newcastle versus Everton. Everton took the lead 18 minutes in as Dominic Calvert-Lewin got the goal. Newcastle just shoot themselves right in the foot as a poor clearance from Matt Ritchie hit an Everton shirt and the away side goal left. Luca Dean on the overlap, and it's a fantastic cross in, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin beat Jamal Lascelles in the air and flicked his header beyond the keeper and hit the far corner of the net. But Newcastle got the perfect chance to level it up just before the half-hour mark as they were given a penalty. I know the Six Nations are on right now, but Pickford needs to remember what sport he's playing. A cross was put into the middle, should be easy stuff for Pickford, but he drops it, and in trying to recover, he absolutely clattered Solomon Rondon, and the ref pointed to the spot. I don't understand how Pickford wasn't booked. Sent off I can understand because maybe you consider double jeopardy rule there, but he wasn't even given a yellow, and even then you can argue that the double jeopardy rule should have been thrown out the window because there was no attempt to play the ball. The ball was 5 yards behind Pickford and he literally speared his man. Like proper Goldberg spear. Matt Ritchie stepped up to take it and he tried to put it down the middle, but the trailing legs of Pickford kept it out and made up for his mistake. And Everton doubled their lead a minute later as they went straight over the other end and made it a horrible minute for Newcastle. Pretty much straight off the penalty, Andre Gomez picked the ball up and just bundled his way through, shrugged off about 2 or 3 men to make his way forward and took it all the way to the byline. He then slid the ball in from the right. Dubravka tries to parry it away, but it was straight into the path of Richarlison and the Brazilian was left with a simple tap-in. But Newcastle were going to go back in the 65th minute as Solomon Rondon cut the deficit in half. What a goal it was as well, as Isaac Hayden started it off playing a rather hopeful ball towards Ayoze Perez. It's Ayoze Perez and Solomon Rondon versus 4 Everton defenders. They don't care. Perez rises to win the header, heads it down to Rondon with his back to goal. He turns, Rondon slids the ball through to Perez, dinked it back to Rondon and he volleyed home from 12 yards out. Fantastic football. And Newcastle levelled it up in the 80th minute as Ayoze Perez got the equaliser. Jordan Pickford is not as good as people make him out to be. Jesus, Miguel Almiron fired a shot from 30 yards out. Pickford has got to be catching it or at least pushing it away. It's something that he does a lot. Instead of just getting it out, he tries to parry it down so it can stop and then he'll smother it, and it's failed him multiple times this season. Leading to the penalty, he did it then. Merseyside derby, he did it then. He should have just parried that out. Now, he's done it again. He tries to parry it down so he can catch it when he just should be getting it out for a corner, but he parried it straight back out to Perez and he fired low as the Spaniard put the rebound home. And would you believe it, Newcastle sensationally turned the game around as they took the lead in the 84th minute as Ayoze Perez got his second and Newcastle's third. A Newcastle corner was partially cleared only to Isaac Hayden, who lost the ball towards the area. Everton defence was stood still. They want offside on Solomon Rondon. It should have been given as offside, but then again, Pickford should have been sent off, so the ref kept his flag down and Rondon brought it down on his knee and just in-game Perez to take it off him and thump it past Pickford. And that's how the game ended as Newcastle produced a stunning second half performance to overcome a 2-goal deficit. Newcastle were sloppy in the first half and it looked like it just wasn't going to be their day when Ritchie's tame penalty was saved, but Everton faded badly in the second half and barely offered anything to the game, and Pickford again. Keep your mind on the game. Don't, when a shot goes wide, don't taunt the Newcastle fans when you're 2-0 up, because look what happens now, you dinosaur looking cut. Rafa Benitez made changes at the break, not only with personnel but the entire shape of the team, which allowed Newcastle to throw technique out the window and be more direct against a very shaky Everton backline, and it paid off as Newcastle picked up a potentially massive 3 points in their survival race. And we move on to Leicester versus Fulham. Leicester took the lead 20 minutes in as Youri Tielemans got his first goal for his temporary club. Callum Chambers would have skipped this bit on Match of the Day as he lost the ball in the middle and Wilfred Ndidi released Jamie Vardy. Vardy's on 99 goals for Leicester and was one-on-one with the keeper, but the veteran striker does so well to just unselfishly poke the ball off to his side to Tielemans, who put it onto his left and rolled it in. But Fulham levelled the game up 5 minutes in the second half as they got a goal out of absolutely nowhere. They were being battered in the first half and even for the start of the second half, but Ben Chilwell loses the ball to Floyd Ayité on the right wing. He burst into the penalty area, his low shot took a deflection off of Harry Maguire and trickled past the wrong-footed Kasper Schmeichel. But Leicester would retake their lead with just over 10 minutes to go as Jamie Vardy got his 100th goal for Leicester. James Maddison had the ball and put a perfectly weighted ball through to Vardy. He wasn't going to square this one, he knew what he was doing, smashed it low and hard into the far corner of the net. And Leicester got their third in the 84th minute as Jamie Vardy got his second of the match. Harvey Barnes with the assist for this one as he played the ball up to Vardy. It's a lovely striker's finish, fired right into the bottom corner for his second. And that's how the game ended as Brendan Rodgers got his first win as Leicester boss thanks to a Jamie Vardy double. Vardy was the key figure throughout this game, unselfishly setting up the first before bagging his 100th and 101st competitive goals for Leicester. Leicester think that this was his 99th and 100th, but for some reason they've ignored the Community Shield. I mean, how dare they disrespect the most prestigious trophy in this country? Sorry, the Checker Trade Trophy is the most prestigious trophy. The Community Shield is a very close second though. Fulham are surely down right now after being 11 points behind 18th after Cardiff's win and a massive 13 points from getting out the drop zone. The damage was done in the summer after Fulham just threw money around at anyone who would join, and it's almost a matter of when and not if Fulham will face an instant return to the Championship. And we move on to Southampton versus Tottenham. Tottenham took the lead 25 minutes into the match as Harry Kane got the goal. It had been coming for Spurs. They were all over Southampton for the opening of this match. The returning Del Alli had the ball on the left-hand side of the area. He looks up and dinks it towards the back post where Harry Kane is. He takes a couple of touches and there should be a challenge coming in from a Southampton defender. But how was Harry Kane able to get 2 touches away from that close? 1 touch to set himself, 2 touches to get it back onto his favoured foot and fired it low past the keeper to open the scoring. But Southampton levelled it up with 15 minutes to go as defender Jan Valery got his second goal in as many games. After scoring a worldie last weekend, this one was a bit simpler, but they all count. But if anybody knows what Danny Rose was doing for this goal, I'll take answers please. I have no idea. A ball put into the middle, it goes all the way through the bodies in the box, and for some reason Danny Rose just lets it run between his legs to Valery. Valery is literally right behind him. Danny Rose just lets it go. Valery's there. He did miss-hit it, but luckily for him, it squeezed in. And Southampton completed the comeback 5 minutes later as James Ward-Prowse continued his fine form. He's been in the form of his career under Hasenhüttl, and again it's a free kick for the second game in a row. Southampton won a red card, but the ref just doesn't give it, and Southampton have to deal with the free kick about 25 yards out maybe. He's been practicing these as he gets a load of whip and curl on it right over the wall and into the top left corner. And that's how the game ended. Oh, Tottenham, what are we going to do with you? Southampton looked dead in the water as Tottenham opened the scoring with Harry Kane's 200th career goal, but some poor finishing and good defending kept Southampton in the game in a first half where Tottenham could have had 2 or 3. Against his former side, Mauricio Pochettino was in the stands after being handed a 2-match touchline ban, and he wouldn't have enjoyed his team unravelling in the second half. Part of the turnaround was because of some extra energy which was given to them as Josh Sims made his first appearance of the season, and after Danny Rose's mistake, Southampton never looked back as Ward-Prowse's free kick earned Southampton a crucial win in their search for survival. And we move on to Arsenal versus Manchester United. Arsenal took the lead just over 10 minutes into the match as Granit Xhaka gave Arsenal the lead. Ainsley Maitland-Niles played it infield to Lacazette. Lacazette laid it off to Xhaka, who was given far too much time and space on the ball. He whacks one towards goal. The swerve on this ball, unreal. It was headed towards the bottom right and David De Gea is already there. He's already at the bottom right corner. Then out of nowhere, it's almost as if it took a deflection and went into the bottom left. I just don't understand how it swerved that much. And Arsenal got the perfect chance to double their lead in the 67th minute as they were given a penalty. Not enough in it for me as Fred comes in from behind on Alexandre Lacazette and the Frenchman goes over. Like I said, not a pen for me, not enough. But the ref pointed to the spot anyway. Speaking of the ref, I'll talk about him in a bit, Jesus Christ. Pierre Aubameyang stepped up to take it, and after missing in the North London derby last week, he took a bit of a risk again as he rolled it down the middle, but thankfully for him, De Gea committed himself and Aubameyang doubled the scoring. And as the game ended, as Arsenal beat Manchester United and handed Ole Gunnar Solskjær his first league loss as Man United boss. Back to the refs like I promised. How the hell is John Moss a referee? The man is so out of shape. There was no way he can keep up with a high-paced game as made. It was so obvious in this one. He was guessing for most of it and blowing his whistle just so play can stop and he could get his breath back. United can feel hard done by that they didn't get anything from this game as Lukaku and Fred both hit the woodwork and Bernd Leno made two crucial saves to keep out the big Belgian striker. The Gunners though looked sharp throughout and looked lively as they got revenge for United, knocking them out of the FA Cup and got a much needed win after a disappointing loss in the Europa League midweek. Arsenal though have now won 7 out of 10 in 2019 and are 1 point behind Tottenham, where the hell has that came from, and leapfrog their opponents to take up 4th place for the week. And we move on to Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Brighton took the lead in the 20th minute as the best striker on this planet, Glenn Murray, got his 100th league goal for Brighton. It was Brighton's first chance of the game and Glenn Murray's 4th touch of the ball. A ball was cleared up the pitch, should be simple to deal with, but James Tompkins makes a tit of himself, misses the header, and that allowed Glenn Murray to get on the end of it and whack it on the volley into the bottom left corner. What a man. But Crystal Palace will get the perfect chance to level it up 2 minutes into the second half as they were given a penalty. They were all over Brighton but just couldn't get a shot away, so when the ball dropped to Andros Townsend in the box, he faked his man, tried to get away but he was tripped up and the ref pointed to the spot. The ultimate penalty merchant, Luka Milivojevic, stepped up to take it and he just does what he always does. He put it home. Of course he does. Of course he does. But Brighton took the lead in the 73rd minute as Anthony Knockaert scored a belter. Again, just another long ball up from Brighton. This time straight to Knockaert. He could either wait or just go for something. He went for something. Stood his man up, took it past him, made his way to the edge of the area where he opened his body up and curled a left-footed effort straight into the top left corner of the net. And that's how the game ended. It was almost written in the stars for Glenn Murray to get his 100th league goal. He wasn't even in the squad, but a late injury to Florent Andone in the warm-up meant the veteran was given the nod and made sure not to disappoint as he got the goal. Of course he did. Crystal Palace dominated almost every stat, more possession, more shots, more crosses, more everything really, but they didn't get more goals, which is the one that counts. Roy Hodgson's side really struggled in the final third. Palace just have a dismal record in games which they've went behind, getting only 4 points from losing positions out of a possible 42. And although Luka Milivojevic's 9th of the season gave them hope, Knockaert's late screamer made sure that Brighton got the win as Brighton completed the league double over Palace for the first time in 30 years. And we move on to Cardiff versus West Ham. Cardiff took the lead just 4 minutes into the match as Junior Hoilett put the home side in front. Victor Camarasa picked the ball up in the halfway line, he put his head down and ran. He made it to the edge of the area before laying it off to his right for Josh Murphy. The wide man then whipped in across towards the near post where Hoilett got in front of his man and swept home from close range. And Cardiff doubled their lead in the 52nd minute as Victor Camarasa made it 2 to the home side. The same 3 players that were involved in the first goal were involved in this one as well, just in reverse order as Junior Hoilett started the move by beating Ryan Fredericks on the byline. He put a deep cross in that comes all the way to Josh Murphy. He headed it back across goal where Victor Camarasa was waiting for it and he made no mistake from close range. And that's how the game ended, with Cardiff putting in a massive shift and picked up a vital win over a very lacklustre West Ham side. Cardiff could have had more and possibly their best home display of the season, and even though West Ham hit the post from Declan Rice, they never really looked like mounting any sort of comeback. West Ham continue to be one of the most inconsistent teams in this league. They're just a massive rollercoaster, ups and downs all the time for them. They came into this one with 2 wins out of their last 3, and the loss was a rather unlucky one against Man City, but there was nothing unlucky about this one as West Ham lost away from home again, having failed to score in their last 5 games away from the London Stadium. And we move on to Huddersfield versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth took the lead 20 minutes in as Callum Wilson got a goal on his return from injury. He's been out for about 2 months and it didn't take him long to pick up where he left off as David Brooks fed the ball to Ryan Fraser on the left. He drills his cross in and Callum Wilson was there to chest it home from a yard out. And Bournemouth doubled their lead in the 67th minute as Ryan Fraser shut the door on Huddersfield. The roles were reversed from the first goal as Wilson got the assist for Fraser. Wilson was played through by Joshua King, and this time Wilson drilled a cross in. This time it was low for Ryan Fraser, who was completely unmarked, and the Scotsman put it home. And that's how the game ended, with Bournemouth picking up their first away win since October. Huddersfield were looking for back-to-back home wins for the first time since 2017, and they were full of fight, but like most of this season, their killer edge, or lack thereof, really hurt them. Callum Wilson showed little signs of any rustiness on his return to the squad, and with England manager Gareth Southgate looking on, he couldn't have picked a better time to return and pick up right where he left off. And finally, we've got Chelsea versus Wolves. It was quite a poor first half with no real chances for either team, but one team would find the net 10 minutes into the second half, and it was Raul Jimenez who gave Wolves the lead. Jimenez started it off as he played it through to Diogo Jota, and he ran forward. Jimenez made a good run alongside him, and the Portuguese winger played it off. The Mexican is tackled, but luckily for him, it bounces off of the defender, back off of Jimenez, and trickled into the bottom left corner. But Chelsea levelled it up in the 91st minute as Eden Hazard nicked a point for the Blues. It came out of nowhere really. A corner was taken short and was played to Hazard on the edge of the area. There's no passes on for him, and there's no press on him either, and when he cut inside his man, he curled one through a crowded penalty area and into the bottom right. And as the game ended with Hazard's 50th league goal at Stamford Bridge, stealing a point for Chelsea to deny Wolves doing the double over them. Chelsea was subdued for most of the game, particularly in the first half, where they only had one shot on target in a match where Wolves were solid. Chelsea enjoyed far more of the ball, but very little of it was in the danger area, with Wolves looking to soak it up and hit them on the counter-attack, which worked as they took the lead through that method. After going behind, Chelsea seemed to wake up with Pedro and Higuain both going close before Hazard's late leveller. The team from the Black Country can be disappointed to only take a point away from Chelsea, which is weird when you think that they were promoted last season. As for Chelsea though, they had a chance to go fourth with the game in hand, but instead they remained in 6th, still deep in the battle for the last 2 Champions League places. Right, so that's all games I got for this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Start with the top 5, and as you can see, Man City are in the top after beating Watford, Liverpool are 2nd after beating Burnley, Tottenham are 3rd after being beat by Southampton, Arsenal are 4th after winning against Man United, and speaking of United, they're 5th after being on the losing end of that game. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Huddersfield are on the bottom after losing to Bournemouth, Fulham are 19th after being beat by Leicester, Cardiff are 18th after their win over West Ham, Burnley dropped to 17th after losing at Anfield, and Southampton make up the bottom 5 after beating Tottenham. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Sergio Aguero is on the top on 18 goals and 6 assists. Mo Salah is 2nd on 17 goals and 7 assists. Pierre Aubameyang got a goal from the spot against United to take him to 17 goals and 4 assists. After his goal against Southampton, Harry Kane kept up with Aubameyang. He's also on 17 goals and 4 assists. And after his double against Burnley, Sadio Mane moved to 16 goals and just the 1 assist. Right, so that's all for this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League review. If you want to stay up to date about anything we do, it would be best to follow us on Twitter. The link to that is in the description, or it's at portionofsport_. If you missed the last episode, that'll be on the right hand side of the outro screen, and a link to the channel will be on the left if you feel like subscribing. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon. My mama called.